Hey, great video. I just want to read a few paragraphs from a book that I happened to stumble upon. Was researching the human hand and its evolution, and looking for books on the human hand in general. And I came across this really interesting book. It's definitely going to be controversial as to what the author is saying, but it's pretty old book. See how let me set it up here. I think it was probably published in early 1900s or late 1800s. Let me get it up here. Okay, and like I said, it's going to be pretty. It's got some parts in it that a lot of people probably don't uh, agree with, especially the atheist crowd. I don't know. I haven't read the whole book, so I don't know how good his argument is. But I think that the first couple pages are if they're a clue as to how the rest of the book goes, it's pretty great. Anyway, it's pretty relevant. So let me just start. And this is by Sir Charles Bell. It's called "The Hand: Its Mechanism and Vital Endowments as Evincing Design." And I think that the rest of the book is as evincing design and something about evolution. Anyway, you can find it on Google Books if you just type in "The Hand" and then type in its mechanism and vital endowments, or some part of that, and then type in author colon search or Bell, Bell, and you'll find it. So chapter 1, page 1. If we select any object from the whole extent of animated nature and contemplate it fully and all its bearings, we shall certainly come to this conclusion, that there is design in the mechanical construction, benevolence in the endowments of the living properties, and that good on the whole is the result. So you can see where the controversy might be coming into play here. But let's continue. We shall perceive that the sensibilities of the body have a relation to the qualities of things external, and that delicacy of texture is, therefore, a necessary part of its constitution, that wonderful and uh, exquisitely constructed as the mechanical appliances are for the protection of these delicate structures, they are altogether insufficient. That a protection of a very different kind, which shall animate the body to the utmost exertion, is requisite for safety, and that pain, whilst it is a necessary contrast to its opposite, pleasure, is the great safeguard of the frame, the bodily frame. It says, finally, as to man, we shall be led to infer that the pains and pleasures of mere bodily sense, and yet without benevolent design, carry him onward through the development and improvement of the mind to higher aspirations. To comprehend the perfection of the structure of any single organ of an animal body, and to see how the same system of parts is adapted in an infinite variety of conditions, we must view the same organ comparatively. This carries us into a new science, no less than that which regards the changes in the surfaces of the globe. And although in this comparison we shall find that stupendous revolutions have occurred indicative of power, it is in contemplating the adaptation of the newly introduced forms of living and organized matter that these successive changes in the surface of the earth or organized matter to these successive changes in the surface of the earth, that we shall have the best proofs of the continuance of that power which first created. Okay, so I don't know if I need to read all of this. Let's see. I thought it would pick up faster, but we'll just go ahead. I'm just going to continue. If you don't want to listen to it, uh, just skip ahead. And such is the course of reasoning which I propose to follow in giving an account of the hand and arm. I shall contrast them in the first place with the corresponding parts of living creatures through all the divisions of the chain of vertebrate animals. And I shall take the hand, not merely as combining the perfections of mechanical structure, but as possessing the property of touch, by which it ministers to and improves every other sense. constituting it the organ in the body the most remarkable for correspondence with man's capacities. Some may conceive that, as I have for my title the human hand and its relation to the other solid structures of the animal frame, it will lead me to consider the body as a machine only. I neither see the necessity for this, nor do I acknowledge the danger of considering it in that light. I embark, I embark fearlessly in the investigation, convinced that, yielding to the current of thought and giving the fullest scope to inquiry, there can be no hidden danger if the mind be free from vicious bias. I cannot see how skepticism should arise out of the contemplation of the structure and mechanism of the animal body. Let us for a moment reflect what is the natural result of examining the human body as a piece of machinery and see whether that makes the creation of man more or less important in relation to the whole scheme of nature. Suppose there is placed before us a machine for raising great weights, be it the simplest of all, the wheel and the axle. We are given to understand that this piece of mechanism has the property of multiplying the power of the hand. But a youth of subtile mind, or below average mind, may say, I do not believe it possible so to multiply the power of the hand. And if the mechanism, and if the mechanician be that's a word that's not used anymore. If the mechanician be a philosopher, he will rather applaud the spirit of doubt. If he can, let's see. So here we are. If he condescend to explain, he will say that the piles driven into the ground, or the screws uniting the machinery to the beams, are fixed points which resist in the working of the machine. That their resistance is a necessary condition, since it is thrown, together with the power of the hand, on the weight to be raised. And he will add that the multiplication of wheels does not alter the principle of action, which every one may see in the simple lever, to result from the resistance of the fulcrum or point on which it rests. Now, grant that man's body is a machine. Where are the points of resistance? Are they not in the ground we stand upon? This leads us to inquire by what property we stand. Is it not by the weight of the body, or in other words, by the attraction of the earth itself? The terms attraction or gravitation lead at once to the philosophy of the question. We stand because the body has weight and a resistance in proportion to the matter of the animal frame and the magnitude of the globe itself. We need not stop at present to observe the adjustment of the strength of the frame, the solidity of the bones, the elasticity of the joints, and the power of the muscles to the weight of the whole of the earth, he means. Our attention is directed to the relations which the frame has to the earth we are placed upon. So he's looking at he says our attention is directed when we think about standing. It just something as simple as standing. Our attention is not directed as a machine, as an axle and a wheel, which as a machine, we're directed to certain mechanical points. But he says that our attention has to be directed to the relations which our body has to the earth upon which it is placed. Some philosophers who have considered the matter curiously have said that if man were translated bodily to another planet, and that planet were smaller than the earth, he would be too light and he would walk like one wading in deep water. That, on the contrary, if the planet were larger, the attraction of his body would make him feel as if his limbs were loaded with lead. Nay, that the attraction might be so great as to destroy the fabric of the body, crushing bones and all. All right, you can see where the beginning was a little slow, but now this is starting to pick up, and he's starting to talk about the relation between our bodies and the earth. I'm promising you, this is the reason that I read it, is coming up. It gets really good. So tune into the next video and read along if you'd like.